Hi, I'm Paul Stringfellow. Welcome to this week's Tech Takeaways. As ever, I'm joined by my, to pinch one of Jason's phrases, dynamic co-hosts, Jason Fitzgerald.
Hello.
And Wayne Miller.
Hello.
So, on this week's show, we're going to be chatting about some of the recent travels that one of our colleagues has had, and we're not going to be talking about Wayne's holiday, but instead we're going to be talking about Jason's trip to NetApp Insight in Las Vegas. So that's what we're covering. So if you want to hear all about Jason's trip to Las Vegas and what that entailed, work-related only, of course, then this is the episode for you. So, hey, why don't we jump straight in, Jason, and why don't you tell people about what NetApp Insight is, and then we can start digging into what you learned.
Yeah, sure. So NetApp Insight is NetApp's annual technical conference, which is a in-person conference, but since 2019 hasn't been an in-person conference. It's been a virtual attended conference. So it was great to be back in person. You know, NetApp have got a great tech community. Everyone's willing to share their experiences. So it was great to see everyone.
Good. And and actually, maybe just step back slightly, because there might be some people watching this who actually don't know who NetApp are. So do you want to talk a little about who they are first?
Yeah, sure. So NetApp are a leading storage provider. They provide enterprise and cloud storage, as well as data management tools for companies of all different shapes and sizes. So regardless of your workload, there's a solution for you from NetApp. So I think probably where most people would have seen them is either sponsoring the MotoGP Ducati team or sponsoring the F1. I can't quite remember which team, but they sponsor an F1 team as well.
So, and Wayne, I mean, we talk about this quite a lot on the podcast, but obviously, a lot of the technology that perhaps me and Jason have worked with for quite a long time is quite new to you. And so do you have any concept of kind of what NetApp brings to the table and why on earth we allowed Jason to go to Las Vegas?
Well, Jason really wanted to go to Vegas, the first point.
Yeah, of course.
What have I learned in the last 10 months about NetApp? Data storage company, some of the larger organizations that we work with, it's a solution where data is kept at a really binary level, but it's how that data is protected. As we've spoken a lot about cybersecurity, ransomware, the validity of data and how that data is stored and how to keep the fresh data available and, the not so fresh data that sits in all of these data repositories. I'm learning more as we've gone on. We've worked with NetApp for how many years, Paul?
15, 16 years.
Yeah. We put some of the biggest data solutions into some of our clients. We've, big pharmaceutical companies, we've put in repositories that have held, large.
Probably our biggest customer using NetApp's probably about 300 terabytes. But we've built some really interesting storage solutions around where we've stretched that storage across multiple locations into a kind of a single instance that gives zero downtime. So so for those who really want that kind of high availability stuff. But I think what's important about actually attending things like Insight, what's always useful for our customers, I think, is that it's that ability. It's important that we get to look ahead a little, because often our customers don't have the time. They often don't have they're busy kind of keeping the lights on inside their own organisation. They don't often have the time to kind of step back a little and look at what vendors are doing and kind of where the industry's going. So actually, there's loads of value, I think, for us in attending events like this. So Jason, why don't we jump into it and talk a little about kind of some of the key takeaways that you got from the event and what were some of the key messages?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, the key takeaways were around cloud integration and AI, as well as some data protection elements of it. So we've seen for a few years now how NetApp are working with the larger hyperscalers, the likes of Azure and Amazon, to really integrate their storage so that regardless of whether you're using NetApp on site or whether you're using NetApp in the cloud, it's actually just one data management layer between them. Now this was announced probably 5-6 years ago now with Data Fabric. NetApp Data Fabric, well, what does that mean? Well, it's a way to move and manage your data using the same tools regardless of where that data lives. So seeing that NetApp was the only storage provider that has their storage sitting native in all of the three major hyperscalers, so Azure, Amazon AWS, and GCP, really shows
GCP being Google
Cloud Platform. Yeah, so it shows how serious NetApp are taking that. They've sat with all of the engineers from all of the different parties to say, how do we make our storage easy to consume in your platform so that our customers, as in NetApp customers, so users of NetApp, can move their data close to that platform and then consume compute in that platform. So if we talk about say AI, for example, if you're building like a large language model, you want your data to be probably crunched by Azure or AWS or GCP.
From a processing perspective.
Yeah. Because, to have that level of compute on site, probably you don't have it. So to be able to move your data close to that platform, do what you need to do, and then be able to easily move it down, that's really powerful. So being able to see that NetApp are the only vendor that can do that, that really shows how seriously they're taking this ease of use and enabling customers to do more innovative things with that. I think one of the quotes that I took was, which I feel works quite well around AI. So there was quite a big play around AI.
AI. Really? There was?
Believe it or not,
wow.
Yeah. Move your data to the cloud and use AI, pretty much. But so AI runs on data runs on NetApp. I thought that's a really nice way of putting it, because NetApp does serve data quite well, quite quickly, and being able to crunch it quickly in an AI environment, if you're working with AI workloads, it's quite important. So,
and I think, one of the things that I think we've heard a lot, Wayne, recently is sometimes that complexity of multiple cloud environments. So we've talked about this recently on the show, actually, in terms of kind of cost management. But also, I think that piece that you're talking about, Jason, that idea of consistent experience, that we do have people who are running multiple cloud environments. So they want stuff in AWS, they want stuff in Azure, they want stuff in GCP, IBM, Oracle, etc. But actually moving data between those different platforms can be quite difficult, particularly if you've still got some on-prem environments. So, I think there's a lot of value in that kind of consistency piece. Is that... is that something that you've been hearing as well, and can see some value in that?
Well, we've been engaged with a lot of clients who are looking at the journey to the cloud and what does that look like. Yeah. Being the not technical person here, I imagine that you're getting a file and you're picking a drive that you're putting it on. Is it that simple that you set your vendor up, you set your cloud provider up, and you're literally picking a data repository, and it's got to be simple, hasn't it now? Yeah,
it's got to be easy to consume, with cloud. And I think NetApp have done they've engineered that really well with Azure NetApp Files, for example. So this is a Azure native product that you can just turn on. You give it a size, and then you can start to use your NetApp files in there. You put your files in, it's managed like a NetApp repository, cloud native. It works really well. So being able to see that they're the only vendor that can do that is a real powerful story, I think.
Yeah, and I think it kind of feeds into that piece you're talking about there as well, about because it wouldn't be a technical conference now if we weren't talking about AI in some way, because it's a bit like, if we roll back 5 or 6 years, if you wasn't talking about cloud, was it even an IT conference? So if you're not talking about AI, is it even an IT conference now? Seems pretty much true. But it is that kind of thing, that there's a lot of data involved in educating these learning models, whether it's large language learning model, whether you're doing analytics. Being able to move that data between these kind of multiple locations can be difficult. Data, physics gets in the way. Data has to move along these kind of, these links at the speed of whatever speed we've got. So actually being able to put that data near to the compute is actually also true on-prem as it is, kind of in the public cloud. So, it feels like a really important message.
Yeah, it gives companies a nice way to scale and build future ready. Because if an organization's not ready to use cloud currently, but they're using NetApp, the option is always there to then extend into cloud in the future, should they decide to, when they're ready. You're not siloing the data. You're not putting it in this box that then you can't use over here. You can replicate your data into the cloud quite easily. do what you need to do and then replicate back out afterwards. It's quite a nice way to manipulate that data. So AI was obviously part of it. There was some speakers around kind of AI governance. So ensuring that AI is built with security in mind, and trying to legislate for that. So that was quite interesting. And then new hardware. So there was a new hardware announcement with regards to, so the platform's called CASA. So NetApp have got the ASA platform now, which is a all flash array SAN optimized platform to be able to give like really low latency, really fast performance, really high reliability. So 6 nines reliability. And then the CASA is essentially a capacity version of that. So a larger box, but quite cost effective. So if you've got your SAN array and you need more capacity, then a CASA might be for you.
Well, I suppose as we move into the world of AI and needing lots of data to educate models, actually capacity becomes a real area of interest.
Yeah.
I know one of the things that you talked about as well, because we've already flogged the AI horse, I think there. But one of the things they talked about, of course, was the other hot topic that we seem to hear a lot of, whichever conference you go to, and that was kind of around ransomware protection.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So NetApp have for a while had the ransomware guarantee on their AFF series, I believe it was. So the ransomware guarantee is essentially NetApp will allow. They will guarantee that you can recover your data in the event of a ransomware. Across the entire product range now. So that's not limited to any one platform. That's across the whole FAS series, across ASA, it's across AFF as well. And there was a really great demo done by Phoebe Go, actually. So DJ, hi Phoebe. So DJ Phoebe Go. Strange things happen at Insight occasionally. So the demo was essentially a real-time ransomware attack on a file system. So I believe it was a couple of terabytes worth of data being encrypted. The NetApp platform detected that it was being encrypted and automatically created a snapshot. So for those of you that aren't familiar with NetApp Snapshot, it is an instant point-in-time copy of that data. And what it allowed Phoebe to do during the demo was to go back, instantly recover, and when I say instantly recover, I mean literally within about 15 seconds, the entire data store as it was, just as the ransomware was started. So there was probably 3 files encrypted, a snapshot was taken, the rest of the file system was completely trashed, it was completely ransomwared, and she was able to be alerted to that happening, go back, and revert it back.
Wow.
And that's really powerful, because one of the things that we see with ransomware is that it's not actually the encryption of the files that takes the time and does the damage for organizations. It's actually the time to recover. We've got a backup, but it's going to take us 2 days to recover these platforms. This was nearly instant. It took about 15 seconds, because NetApp Snapshots work in that way. We move the pointers and all the data becomes available again.
Can I ask a daft question? We might want to take this out, by the way. You put your data into NetApp. Does NetApp back up NetApp?
Yes.
Oh, we're leaving that question in.
Yeah, yeah, we're absolutely leaving this in. Does NetApp back up NetApp? So NetApp has protection mechanisms built into it, snapshotting being one. And what we can do is we can take an instant point-in-time copy of that volume, and then we can replicate that volume to other NetApp boxes.
Okay.
Or replicate it into the likes of object storage, so Azure or Amazon S3 as a different type of backup to be able to offsite that or get that away from the live data. So it has inherent protections that sit alongside the live volume.
Okay. And
we can replicate it offsite. So it's very flexible in terms of the protection capabilities built into the boxes themselves. Yeah.
I mean, and I think it's a really important part of I think it's something we often forget. We talk a lot about ransomware prevention and ransomware protection, but actually doing that at a storage layer is an important capability that I think is something, and we'll probably do an episode in the future on this actually, but looking at where we bake in those kind of ransomware protections, because you want them right through the stack, from the perimeter to spot it early on, right down to that storage layer, which is ultimately the place where a cyber attacker is going to go for. So I mean, that's been great. And I suppose just as we wrap up, one last question. What's the one takeaway from Las Vegas that you're prepared to share on a podcast?
One takeaway.
And I don't mean NetApp Insight based.
Yeah. Vegas is awesome, is the takeaway that I would give. I had a preconceived idea of what Vegas would be like. I was completely wrong. The weather was great. The people were friendly. It was fantastic.
Great. Hey, well, I'm glad while I was here holding the fort, you were having a wonderful time in Las Vegas. I know it's hard work going to these events, and generally I know it's hard work going to these events, unlike Wayne, who was just on holiday, but he worked hard while he was there too. So look, guys, it's been great. Jace, thanks for taking the time doing that. And I know it are quite big commitments to go and do those events. So thanks for doing that for us last week. And, I think that's been great. So look, if people want to find out more about NetApp Insight, you can pop over to NetApp's website. There's a load of stuff on Insight there, or you can just hit Jason up on the socials. So feel free to do that. If you want to make sure you catch the next episode of Tech Takeaways, and do subscribe, can subscribe here on YouTube or in any good homes of podcasts. But until next time, Jason, he's been away for a week. I've already forgot his name. Jason, Wayne, thanks for your time, and thanks for taking time to watch the show. See you soon.
Thank you.